Hello there, and welcome back to my desk. And today we are taking a look at classic Tetris. No, not the NES version of Tetris. This is a red herring. I fooled you all. We are taking a look at Game Boy Tetris, the original, not Tetris DX or Tetris Flash or Tetris 2 or whatever you decide to call the later variations of Tetris. This is the original Tetris on the Game Boy. Right, this one I have here is an American cartridge, and I'm pretty sure like most people know how Tetris on the Game Boy works. It's probably one of the most well-known versions of Tetris, but in case you're living under a rock for like the past 30 years, this is Tetris. Uh, with the classic. I mean, a lot of people say like, huh. A lot of people say like this is kind of like one of the more definitive classic versions of Tetris because it's got the theme song, and it's simple, pick up and play, and I don't like disagree with that. But honestly, if you're talking about like Tetris on the Game Boy, I feel like Tetris DX is definitely a way better experience. Just considering like how it fleshes things out, has like way smoother movement for like the pieces and all that. But that's just me. But anyway, I think most people know how Tetris works. But in this video, we're going to be taking a look at several different variations on Game Boy Tetris that I have. Not counting, like, I don't mean sequels, I mean just like variations on this original Game Boy Tetris cartridge. So right here, as I said, this is the US cartridge. On the side, it says DMGTR USA. And here, we have a slightly different version of Tetris. Spot the difference. But this is the Chinese release of Tetris. So it's got like traditional and simplified Chinese subtitles on the bottom there. And over here it says DMG 104CHN. Made in China. As opposed to this cartridge, which is made in Japan. And I'm pretty sure if you look at the back here. So on the on the original cartridge, it says made in Japan. On the Chinese cartridge, it says made in China. So this is technically a completely different, like, I mean, they look the same. There's no like visible difference outside, like no other visible difference aside from that text there. But yeah, this is the official Chinese version of Tetris. I might have mentioned it a little bit about it during my Nintendo in Hong Kong video. But if we boot this up, this is actually identical, I believe, to the American release. Same music and all that. And this is actually like the first Tetris cartridge I ever came across. Apparently, I found a Chinese copy before I even found like an American copy. And I'll probably like put a picture on screen right now. I guess I took a photo of it. But like at a store, I found a copy of Tetris that is apparently the Hong Kong version, which on the side, it says HK instead of CHN. But I tried it, and it's basically pretty much identical to this. So I don't know if there's like separate Game Boy releases for China and Hong Kong. But yeah, there you go. This is a purely cosmetic difference on the labeling and the cartridge itself there. So here's one version of Tetris. And here is another. This is the Chinese 4-in-1 officially licensed 4-in-1 cartridge, which includes Tetris, Tennis, Alleyway, and Yakuman. And DMG 601CHN. This is very yellow to the point that it almost looks like it's a brown cartridge, but no, it's yellowed because of that small. Yeah, but apparently these are pretty hard to come by. But one of like officially licensed Game Boy multi cards are definitely less common sight, and also because the Game Boy is just home to so much like bootleggery, multi-cards and all that. But open it up and you have a menu. You can pick Tetris, Alleyway, Yakuman, or Tennis. And so this is my third copy of Tetris. And once again, it's Tetris. There's nothing like completely different about it. Although, actually, it started with like the default Game Boy, like the green color palette. Like normally, if you play Tetris on the Game Boy in Game Boy Color mode, it defaults to picking like a orange reddish palette. But on this one, because I'm playing on a multi-card, it actually doesn't know that to use like the palette for Tetris, and instead just uses like the default green Game Boy Color palette. So I guess that's a neat thing to point out. Other than that, it's Tetris. I'm pretty sure like even if you have a link cable, you can just link it with these other copies and it'll all work the same. But the only difference being that if you restart it, you can pick a completely different game. What a great deal. You can play Alleyway. Alleyway is a game. It is certainly one. It's yep, it's Arkanoid, Breakout, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's a serviceable like Game Boy game for the time, 1989. Like, I'm pretty sure people will be excited to have this kind of game on the Game Boy. But it's definitely a launch title, all right. But yeah, there is the third copy of Tetris I have, and last but not least, we have a Japanese copy of Game Boy Tetris, but not just any Japanese copy. This is well, I wouldn't say it's a holy grail, but it is a desirable collector's item. This is one of the earlier 1.0 versions of Tetris. So earlier there was like a run of like, I forgot how much, I believe like 100,000. I'll put a text on screen to correct myself if I'm wrong. But yeah, this is one of the earlier copies of Tetris, which was like included in like bundles with the link cable and all that. And so this has several differences from the later versions, like later Japanese versions of the game. So I don't know if you can see it here, but like for example, one of the more telltale signs that people use to spot a 1.0 Japanese cartridge is this spire over here on this tower that's touching the LL on the all rights reserved. It doesn't do that on later copies of the game. So I can put up like a cartridge label on screen right now, and you can see that it's the positioning of the graphics are slightly different. And also, whoops, there was a message there. Let me mute my computer. But also, if you look at the reflection on the, I don't know if you can even see it. Okay, you can see like right on top of me in Japan there are like numbers. So this here says 00, 09. It actually says 09 on there. And I believe in later copies it's a completely different, like, I believe there's like letters on it or something. Basically, like this version has its own unique cartridge label number. And the best way, of course, to tell 1.0 copy from the, where did I put my Game Boy? There we go. The best way to tell 1.0 copy from a later copy, or I think people call it 1.1, is that when you start it up, yeah, that opening screen there only lasts for like a second on the old version, whereas in the later versions you have to like wait until like a few seconds and then you can press start to skip the screen. But the biggest well-known difference is that there's a completely different A-type music. We don't have the original Tetris theme. This is a completely different minuet. People call it minuet. I think that's what it's called, but not Korobaniki. But this is a nice song. I'm just sad they scrapped it. They didn't have like all 4 music types on there. But B type and C type are completely the same, identical to the original later versions. But here, it's got special music to go with it. So if you prefer the Game Boy Tetris with slightly different music, here you go. Go find a copy of this game. These are like a bit more pricier than usual, obviously, especially since like awareness has been spread about them recently. So people are like rushing themselves out to like find different copies of Game Boy Tetris to see if they have a 1.0 copy. And also, I came across these by a complete accident as well. So yeah, these are very nice finds, because these aren't like the most expensive Game Boy games, obviously, but they are definitely up there. But yeah, I just thought it would be very neat to show that I have like 4 technically distinct versions of Game Boy Tetris. So this is the original. This is like slightly cosmetically different on the label. And this one here has Tetris alongside 3 other games, and this is a completely different earlier version of the game. So that's why we need to show these. Like, yeah, these are 4 different copies of Game Boy Tetris. So I figured, why not get my trusty Gamebit screwdriver, and we will open all 4 of these cartridges up, like channel our inner spawn wave, and just like see if there are any like internal differences between all 4 of these cards. All right, so this is actually a little bit fascinating. So over here we have the original US copy of Tetris. So this is basically what a typical, Game Boy cartridge looks like. It's just got the ROM chip over there, DMG TRA1. And yeah, it's just like a very simple PCB. This one is labeled 1989, regular launch title Game Boy game. But compared to something like Japanese 1.0 version, it is slightly different. So on here, you can see that the ROM chip is labeled DMG TRA0, while the one on the US version is labeled TRA1. That's what it's labeled on the US version. But yeah, this is also dated to 1989, and these are basically identical, except just slight differences in the PCB. But the Chinese version, it looks absolutely different. So on here, like slightly different shape even, it's got like a specialized like Mani chip. So Mani was like the Hong Kong distributor for like the game for Nintendo products in Hong Kong, and it's just they have their own chip in there for some reason. It's also labeled as DMG TRA1. But I just found it like curious that these just have like their own PCBs. They don't even have Nintendo copyright on them. They just have like Mani's copyright on them. They just made their own PCBs for this, which is kind of interesting. I also have like similar Chinese Game Boy games like Kirby's Dream Land, and I'm pretty sure they use like the same style of PCB as well. And over in the 4-in-1, you've got this is even weirder. So it is an official card. Like it says Lani, it's dated to 1996. This is like very old. This is a very old release. And there's nothing on here except this like super tiny chip. I have no idea how that works. And there's this little blob here. This looks like something you would see on a bootleg cartridge, not an official one, but this is official for some reason. So that's all there is in this dinky little PCB. I just found it very interesting to see. But yeah, there we go. That is all 4 copies of Game Boy Tetris that I own, not excluding games like Tetris DX and whatnot. But yeah, I just thought it will. This is just a fascinating small little topic to discuss about. I don't know how I managed to talk like more than 50 minutes about this. Hopefully I'm not. Hopefully this isn't land padding, but I just thought it was interesting to share. But yeah, that will be it. This is 4 different versions of Game Boy Tetris. There's probably more out there, but they're probably very similar to like these two. So there's that. But yeah, I guess I'll just catch you guys whenever I have another interesting topic. So take care.